Hello friends, welcome to Total Recaps. Today we are going to explain a movie named The Last Samurai, released in 2003. So sit with popcorn and enjoy this interesting war/action film. The movie starts showing a very charming valley, while background voice is telling the story of Japan's creation. Many people had told this storyteller that a sword had been discovered at the bottom of this water by a head. When swords dropping drops fell into the water, then Japan Island came into being. But he was not the believer of these stories. According to him, Japan is the creation of those bold people who can sacrifice themselves for this. Now one Japanese is seen, sitting in a field. He was sitting in such a posture as he is exercising of yoga, and a man was fighting with a lion in his field there. His eyes were close at that moment. Suddenly, he opens his eyes in rage. The scene drops here and a man is shown in America. His background voices were revealing that he had been a brave sergeant. His name has been told, Captain Nathan, who was going to tell his story of victory. He was being called from outside. All were waiting for him, but he was engaged in taking alcohol seated on a chair in the state of meditation. Now informer of Nathan comes to him, and he says to him, I am done with you. Don't come on job from tomorrow and it will be your last working. It was being revealed through it that Nathan is working here as a performer, and he tells his own story to entertain the audience. It is his last performance today after being terminated from his job. Now he begins to tell his story, moving on the stage. He tells the gun that I am holding. It has helped many countries' forces to get victory. And he also tells the story of the soldiers who sacrificed before him. He begins to tell all of a sudden how his gun works. All were so shocked because Nathan was loading his gun, and he also fires his gun here and there after loading it, without this thought that it may shoot anyone here. Fortunately, no one gets any harm, and Nathan leaves outside, throwing his gun among the spectators. Nathan's past stories included as he was an American sergeant who was the part of British government in the country of India, and he had killed some of the innocent Indians on the commandment of his captain. He felt guilty even today. This was the reason that he had quit from his job in the military. Now he was working as a performer, but he had also been terminated from here today. He meets an old man as he comes out of this building, who starts to clap. Seeing him, Nathan perhaps had recognized that aged man, and he thinks after glimpsing him, is he still alive? That aged man spreads his arm around Nathan's neck with intimacy, and he offers him a job while walking with him. Now Nathan was asking from him about the job. What is the category of this job? But that aged man only tells this job has especially made for you. Now that old man leads him to a restaurant. Japanese colonel with Nathan's ex-captain who was colonel now are also shown in the restaurant. He was called here for this cause because Japanese colonel wanted that Nathan may train their soldiers. He was offered a heavy amount of money for this. Nathan leaves that place for a moment, standing up. Now American colonel asks him while coming after him, what is wrong in it? How best job this is? Nathan says, I cannot take the life of an innocent in the greed of $5, but I may not take a single penny if there is case of your killing. And he accepts this job, commenting this. After this, Nathan is seen at the seaport of Japan, where he meets with a British translator who was telling him that Japan's president, he has called architects, engineers, and doctors for the progress of Japan from the foreign countries. No, he wants to build a best army for Japan. And he has also called many warriors from the several countries to train the soldiers, as you are. Then Nathan is brought to the Japan's president, who was too gratified of him because of his acceptance of this job. Later, Nathan is seen doing his job where he was training the Japanese soldiers. Nathan had heard about Japanese samurai named Katsumoto because he was well known because of not using new weapons and tricks in the battle. Later, Nathan moves to the rest house where he checks many books related with samurais, and he asks his translator to translate them. But no one knows, he thinks, this translator will not translate this book for him. So he places his weapon on his throat and threatens, I can also kill you if you don't translate it. But Nathan had started to see the visions with this. Movie moves to the flashback and that sight is shown when Nathan had killed many of the Indians on the order of his captain. Because he had no other option except to carry out the order of his captain. He was feeling regret till today thinking, why did he act like this? Now Nathan is seen on training in the current scene of the movie. He was saying to his companion here, I am satisfied on this. All sergeants are working hard and they are also progressing. He tells, mostly soldiers have known how to use the gun. He moves to this soldier with this and he himself teaches him how to hold a gun. Meanwhile, Japanese colonel comes there to tell him that Japanese samurai is revolting against the Japanese government. We neither go to their area nor move there independently. Colonel wanted that they may fight with samurai and pave that specific area where they had to build the railway track. But it was the statement of Nathan, our soldiers are not ready at all till now. But Colonel maintains on his point and says, samurais have not a single rifle. They have only ranged weapons through which they will not be able to compete with us. Nathan further tells here, Our soldiers are also not ready for self-defense and attack. And he says to one of the soldiers to prove his statement, putting his life at risk, "Shoot me, otherwise I will shoot you." Nathan fires at his cap when that soldier does not carry out his order. He fires his gun in fear, but Nathan remains safe from that gunshot. Now Nathan clears to Colonel, you can see how prepared our soldiers are. Colonel is not convinced even by his single statement. Now he orders them that, we will surely move to battle with Katsumoto at 6 a.m. Now they move forwards after training some of the soldiers. Nathan says to his soldiers to load the rifle. They were holding the rifle with shuddering hands. Many soldiers were also unaware about this, what they should do right now. At the same time, samurais had attacked there from the front side. They fire their rifle at them. As a result, many samurais are ended. But many of samurais had attacked them with their ranged weapons. Many soldiers had fled while samurais were moving towards them now. A horrible battle had started here. It was seeming as these new modern soldiers are nothing before samurais. All soldiers of Nathan had fled, but Nathan and his companion were facing the swords of samurais. Then one of the samurais kills Nathan's companion. But Nathan does not accept his defeat and he continues to fight with the horse rider samurai. Suddenly, he falls down from the horse because of distraction, but he continues to fight with all samurais not accepting his defeat yet. Samurai's leader was so astonished, seeing this as he was still fighting with these samurais. One of the senior samurais had come to kill Nathan. Nathan kills him with a lying spear there before he ended him. Seeing it, all of the nearby samurais are on the verge of killing him. And Katsumoto stops them, and they ask them to take Nathan alive with them. Reaching the village, one of his companions asks from Katsumoto that, why have you left Nathan alive and why have we brought him here? Then Katsumoto says on this, we have to fight further, and we should learn something from our bold enemy. Katsumoto sees the book of senseless Nathan here, while it is shown that a lady is treating Nathan. And Nathan is quite recovered after some days, and he observes, coming out of his room, how these samurais are getting training without weapons, and how they are spending a punctual life. Now Nathan is brought to Katsumoto, who was in a temple. Nathan asks them during their conversation, who was that warrior wearing the red dress who had come forward to kill me? Who is that girl treating me right now? Now Katsumoto tells that girl who is treating you is my sister while you had killed her husband in the war. He questions from himself, she is still treating me in spite I killed her husband. Even she also serves him food. After a while, he again moves to the temple, and he asks from Katsumoto, what do you want from me? And he speaks truth that he wants to know the tactics of war of their enemies. How are their enemies taught to fight? He asks him when you had dominated India, were you captain at that time? Nathan says, yeah, I was middle rank captain. Saying this, he moves away. The time continues to pass. Nathan learns many skills here while staying here. Nathan had known the real meaning of the disciple and courtesy here. He observes, how do the people help one another? How do they take training collaboratively? And he had learnt the meaning of samurai here. It meant to serve someone which they knew well. Nathan also learned some Japanese's words from a kid here. And he also enjoying with the nearby villagers that some assassins attack them. Now Nathan fights with them along with those villagers. At the same time, an assassin was going to kill Nathan, then a child appears there to rescue him, with whom Nathan had good friendship. And he was the son of the same lady, the lady who used to take care of him. He holds the sword of his father, showing a great courage, and he rescues Nathan. Nathan also attacks his enemy, holding a knife, and he kills that man with his another hand who was going to kill that kid. Now Katsumoto and Nathan fight with those assassins together, and they beat them. Now it was Nathan's thought that Japanese's colonel is behind this attack to kill Katsumoto. Now Nathan was supporting samurais, so Katsumoto also accepts his sincerity. When Katsumoto and Nathan are talking, then Katsumoto tells him that he will sacrifice his life easily if Japan's president wants his death, and he will also leave this village. Then Nathan tells Katsumoto that, actually, President is not against the samurais, while he is being burdened to act as such by Japanese Colonel Omura. Katsumoto says with it that we are not rebels. If President commands us that we may leave this village, then we will surely leave it. After this, it is seen that samurais had liberated Nathan. Now he was in that training camp where he had been brought before, while Katsumoto is seen meeting with the president on the other side. Katsumoto observes that the president is not a bad person, and the modern technology which is being introduced in Japan, it is not under the commandment of president, because president is in his youth, so the public accepts him as a president if he accepts the demands of public. Now president asks Katsumoto, what should I do to rescue the people? Katsumoto says on this, we should allow to live here with freedom. After this, Nathan is seen who was with Japanese Colonel Omura. Omura asks him, how do samurais live? How are they be trained? Can you reveal something about them? And Nathan forbids them to reveal anything to them, saying this, I was just a prisoner. Now Omura offers him for one more thing, in which he had still to lead and train the Japanese army, and he was also being offered more money for this task. But Nathan leaves that place, standing from there. Omura suspects on this, as Nathan knows everything, and he orders his men that Nathan should be ended if he is seen meeting with any samurai. Now it is seen here that President had permitted samurais to live at any place on the request of Katsumoto. Now they are also seen in Tokyo where Katsumoto was the member of Japanese council. As Katsumoto joins the meeting, then Omura asks him to place the sword outside. And he also says to him, "It is not allowed now to keep the sword with you." But Katsumoto forbids him to carry out his order. He says, "I will not keep this sword until President asks me." But President does not utter a single word here, and Omura makes Katsumoto arrest by the President. Now Katsumoto is seen in a new room where a man hands him over a knife, and he asks him to commit suicide because it had been punished him, while Nathan was leaving after the completion of his contract. But a mysterious man attacks as he comes outside. Nathan defends himself like a samurai from him. After this, he himself had realized that he has become a samurai. It is seen here that Nathan comes here to rescue Katsumoto. Coming to him, he says, "We will have to move from here." But they immediately come out of that place, but a few people catch their sight while escaping and they attack them. All are succeeded to escape from there. But Katsumoto's son had lost his consciousness because of receiving gunshot. Nathan tries to rescue him, but he was in critical condition. And Katsumoto's eyes had filled with tears, witnessing this condition of his son, where his dying son says to him, "You should leave, and you have to fulfill your aim for which you have been made." Now Katsumoto goes after leaving his son there. All samurais had returned to their village, and they had knowledge with Nathan that a deadly war is going to start here. Now all villagers start to get ready for this war. Katsumoto was so worried about this war, and Katsumoto tells Nathan here about the Persian War, where only 300 soldiers had defeated thousands of enemies, using their wisdom and region. Now they have to do the same. Nathan says to Katsumoto that we will have to bring our enemies nearer that we may fight with them with our swords, and we may face their guns easily. And that lady named Taka, who used to take care of Nathan, she says to Nathan, "It will be honor for me that you may wear that dress which belonged to my husband." After this, they are seen ready in the battlefield, where they were in a few numbers while their rivals were in thousands. Captain was shocked, seeing this as Nathan has the companionship of the samurais. Nathan says in his response, "I will like this if we meet during the war." Now the war had broken out. Japanese army had many guns and the cannons. Samurais had nothing as such. Japanese army attacks samurais with their cannons, and samurais run away in order to protect themselves from them. In fact, it was their trick so they may bring Japanese soldiers nearer them. According to their plan, Japanese soldiers also move ahead to kill them, where they witness that samurais were hidden behind a shield. Japanese soldiers attack them with their gun, and Nathan says to samurais, "We will attach at that moment when they will start to load their rifles." And they do the same. Samurais attack them when the time of loading rifle comes. There was bloodshed everywhere and samurais were fighting tactfully. Samurais were in little number and the Japanese army was in large number, so they had left a few as compared to Japanese army. They decide to fight with their last breath. Now in the end of the battle, Katsumoto was badly injured and he was going to lose this war. Japanese captain asks everyone to stop firing after observing Katsumoto bruised, according to his custom, while Katsumoto kills himself with his own sword by the hand of Nathan. It was the custom of samurais if any samurai was near to his defeat, either he committed suicide or let any samurai kill himself. Katsumoto made him killed here by Nathan, while there was a beautiful sight of spring in his eyes before dying. All Japanese soldiers sit on the ground in the honor of Katsumoto at his death. In the end, it is seen that Nathan comes to Japanese as president before moving to America. He presents the sword of Katsumoto to the president, but Omura says to the president, "You cannot accept this, because Nathan is a betrayer and you cannot take anything from him." While Nathan reveals that fact of Katsumoto to the president, when he had said he can sacrifice his life if president will want it. Now president had also understood that Omura is that man who is using him as a tool to expand his business. In fact, traditions with the modern technologies were also required for Japan, and he accepts the sword of Katsumoto, and he rejects his signed contract made with America, and he says to Omura to stop his stupidity. Now the story completes on this narration. What will Nathan have faced? According to the points of some people, he will have died because of his wounds, while some gave their viewpoints that he will have returned to America. However, because he had gone to a samurai village, some people were ignorant, where he had united with Taka forever. This explanation completes on this scene.